Greetings, everyone. This little clip that you're looking on is like deja vu to me. I shared with you a little while back that I dreamt that in the community where I came from, I saw police going from home to home and taking the men out. And I told you they came to my house and I concocted a plan for my partner to escape. And when I went around the city, everywhere I went, I saw people, running and hiding and, cops throwing them in vehicles and arresting them. That's perhaps last year. And so when I look at this, it's like, wow, deja vu. But that's not where I'm going to leave this. I'm saying to myself, and of course, it's just a little clip, so I can't contextualize it, but I'm assuming that, this young man was either in front of his gate or on the street, and the cops came to his house to arrest him. Now, I heard that if you're in Jamaica and you breach the COVID, you get arrested and you go to court and you pay a fine or you go to jail. So I'm assuming that if this young man was breaking the curfew, that the tickets would have been issued. I don't get the beating and the aggression that I'm seeing. And to be honest with you, when I see this, I'm saying to myself, black people are so cruel to each other. And black people will take that directive and turn it into something that those who gave it to them did not intend. Now, I'm not going to swear for the ones who give them the instruction to do this to black people. I'm just saying to myself, though, even if that was not the intention, they have gone extreme. I have never seen any officers in this country that I live beating anybody because of curfew. And we've had a few lockdown. People have gotten tickets for having parties in their home when they're told they're only supposed to, self-isolate or they're supposed to social distance. And so they get those tickets. There's never any justification for any police officer to put their hand on a civilian because they're in front of their yard or out in the street. That is abominable. So I don't get these officers. They forget that first and foremost, they're citizens. And though people might be breaking the rules and people might be using their human right and freedom to walk freely in the daytime, the old story about go up into your yard and all that stuff is just to me a long awaited opportunity to continue to exert one's power and to use it out of control. I just don't get it. So while this is happening, the real criminals are getting by and doing all kinds of stuff. And you don't see this kind of aggression towards people who are violent. I'm not seeing it. Maybe you are, but I'm not seeing it. Now, I'm asking the question, if this was Jack's Hill or some ritzy area, I don't know where all the ritzy areas are in Jamaica, those upscale community, do you think that if some youth that are from privileged background, just name any of the wealthy people in Jamaica, their offspring, if they had gone to their gate or if they were on the street and ran back home because they saw the cops coming, do you think any of these cops would ever dare to manhandle any of them? So it has a lot to do with the fact that these people are poor. Because again, I'm still trying to figure out, how do you expect the person who has to go outside daily to make their bread? How can they go up in the yard? And if you're in your yard and they're telling you to lock up in the house, what do you think is going to happen? Depression. A lot of people are going to come undone. This thing is dragged on, has dragged on, and is continuing to drag on forever. At this point in the game, if you are having to do this kind of extended abuse of human beings to protect them, I just don't get it. Because if persons hear that if you do this or that, you're going to get sick, and they're in the community, they're in the same yard, and they choose to stay in the yard and stay in front of the gate and get sick, how is that such a big responsibility for the police officers or the government of the country to control them in such a way that you're worried about their health and their well-being? We're not talking about them leaving from their community and going to another community. They're obviously in their yard. So if they want to come in their yard and contaminate each other, why is that a problem? The hypocrisy is too much because I see it with my own eyes. Individuals in some community are not isolating, are not wearing no mask on their face. They're still going about their regular business, still working. So what? This COVID thing, I just don't get it. It seems to have some kind of unfairness as it relates to some people and some environments. Now, what I want to say before this video is over is, let's talk. Let's send the officers to the woman who beat that 2-year-old child at the daycare, gave the kid at least 5 or 6 welts across the back because the kids were left unattended in a bathroom and happened to be playing in the bathroom and flood the toilet and got beaten so viciously that the mom said when she looked at her child's back, I can imagine how heartbreaking that must have been for her. And she reported it to the police officers, and she reported it to CDA or whatever they CDC or whatever they are called. And nothing was done. And the woman who did it is still working. And the woman tells her, oh, you wouldn't understand. I just stepped out to get something and the babies did this. And the 2-year-old did this. Let me tell you something. When it comes to justice in Jamaica, it's just a weird kind of game. And I'm going to say this as a mother. If I saw my 2-year-old with welts, now I don't care if it's a half welt. Forget it if it's so many welts on my child. Some other person decided that they were going to choose to discipline my child in this violent way. I was not going to rely on the police officers to answer anything for me. I would report it because, of course, you don't want to get in trouble. But when I report it and nothing is done, this woman, if she did this to my 2-year-old child, would not get the opportunity to explain to me that I don't understand, because I wouldn't understand it. And what she did to my child is what I would do to her. See, they're not prioritizing and not doing the things that they need to do in the country. And that's why it will never be better, because when you have officers who are out there handling young people this way, beating them and shoving them, and they're not just doing it to young people, they're doing it to adults. This is a great example of why we as a people will never be better, because the kind of guile, the kind of, strength and power we have towards each other, it is disgraceful. Just look at how these people are handling the poor people in Jamaica. Look at how they're dealing with people who are already on the fringes. People already suffer so much inequality in the world. And then these are the ones who are coming around to say, when these ones in the dance hall, in these areas, sing the dance hall songs about violence, you come and say that these ones are responsible for the state of the country. How could that be? Because it's not the other way around here. I'm not seeing this youth beating the cop. I'm not seeing the persons attacking. I'm seeing them using excessive force over some flu-like symptom that someone could possibly get. Because in the beginning of this thing, they said that people who are younger were not at risk. They said that the elderly and persons with immune, difficulty or whatever, their immune system is compromised, they're the ones who are at risk. And now I see them, beating youths because they're in their yard. And this is not the first time I've seen this. I've seen other cases where people are standing in their yard and because they were playing music. It's like they want everybody to be depressed. When you make them depressed, you keep them hungry, when you take away their means, then you'll force them to do what you want them to do. It's not right. It's not right. It's not right. It's just very disgraceful. Yeah. So I'd want to see some action on the woman whose child, her 2-year-old baby, got physically abused at daycare, and the woman is still working. And I want to see more solution on crime, because you know how to solve crime. You all know how to solve crime. These incidences and these photos show us that you know how to solve crime. Or is it that you just have strength for poor people? I don't get it. And I'll never will.